For a very long time, the APAPA port has been under our radar, watching every development there. Now, one issue that has, however, lingered on for too long is that of congestion that has bedeviled operations and costing the nation a lot, infrastructurally and economically. Now, an eyewitness video which showed some containers being moved by rail triggered this report. Join us. Tankers and trucks on queue, finding their way to the ports for cargoes, most of which are grouped as essential. This sight has remained with us for a very long time, with key stakeholders trading blames as to who is responsible. With an increase in the number of ships berthing at the port and the attendant increase in cargo activities, congestion takes center stage. According to a report commissioned by the Nigerian Shippers Council in 2015, on a daily basis, an average of 7,000 trucks and tankers hover around the Lagos logistic ring, as against the combined capacity utilization of the two seaports and 27 tank farms put at less than 2,500 trucks and tankers. What this means is that more than 4,500 trucks and tankers are on the Lagos logistic ring, either parked or prospecting for customers. In order to resolve the lingering crisis, compounded by the recent lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Nigerian Shippers Council, the regulatory agency for shippers, alongside terminal operators, Nigerian Railway Corporation, have held several meetings.
There are guidelines and safety precautions.
During a recent compliance monitoring tour of terminals in company of Port Health official, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, HASSAN, BELLO, underscored some of the challenges impacting port operations.
There are a lot of challenges like the consignees not, bringing out cargo as fast as we want. Interstate border closure should not affect cargo. So for export and for import, truckers are having difficulty assessing, the states. And these trucks are full of essential cargo. We are talking about medicine. We are talking about pharmaceutical products. We are talking about food and also raw materials for factories. So we are appealing, to the task force, presidential task force, that this cargo from the port, should be exempted, from both state line closure, as we have seen it now. The Ministry of Transportation has been, very supportive. We are looking at all. We have now had the truckers have reduced their cargo, their rates, haulage rate, but about 30%. Either are within the vicinity of Lagos or of country. We have gotten the shipping companies given suspension of demurrage. We have also rent-free days extended. So all these are incentives for people to come to evacuate their cargo. I'm therefore appealing to freight forwarders, I'm appealing to organized private sector, MAN, Chamber of Commerce, and other big shippers to please use this opportunity and get as much as it's possible cargo out of the port so that we won't face, very horrible congestions later on.
Key components of the port's value chain are the terminal operators who have continually remained in the eye of the storm. From when ships berth and offload their cargoes, it is expected that these will be done within stipulated period of time. But in APAPA, it runs into weeks and months as available space are occupied by cargoes waiting to be cleared by their owners. This is a major challenge amongst many others.
The port is like a transit point. Cargo comes in, stays a little while, and then immediately goes out fast. But in Nigeria, for a number of reasons, the cargo sits in the port for too long. This has to do with the cumbersome releasing process and also let me say that, to the high level of non-compliance of some importers in Nigeria, which makes the job of customs officers very difficult because they have to inspect everything to be sure that what the importers through their killing agents have declared is indeed correct. But because of this high level of inspection, this creates problems inside the port. Because rather than the container seamlessly going from the ship to the stacking area to the importers, there is a lot of handlings inside the port, which makes the cargo stays in the port for a long time. In other ports, in more efficient port, in other parts of the world, a container will probably sit inside the terminal for like 3 or 5 days. Here, it stays for 20-25 days.
At the moment, some of these operators are beginning to explore other mode of transportation so as to facilitate trade.
As you can see, almost 30-35% of our traffic nowadays goes through the barges. We do have some, we are the only container terminal with a rail siding which we invested along with our development. So we do have some traffic that goes out on rail and mostly are on the road. So what we are doing is, as a container terminal operator, we are looking at alternative ways other than roads so that we reduce the pressure on the road. So we are continuing to invest in more equipment so that we don't have to burden the roads. We can find other alternate ways of evacuating cargo.
While it may take a while for the Tinkan Island to be connected by rail, the APAPA port is already enjoying that service. Just one movement takes about 20 trucks off the road. The return of rail services for the conveyance of containers may be seen as a positive step in the right direction. However, the managing director of the corporation, Engineer Fidet OKHIRIA, says they too have been victims of the congestion.
Especially it affects the Nigerian Railway Corporation, not only as a mover, but as a body that has engaged in modernization. Most of the materials required to do the rail construction, to push in the rolling stock and spare parts, come through our ports. And at the time, it was taking time when the ship bathed to offload and take them to the warehouse to deploy them to site became a problem. And even when the ship arrives, to have its parking space is also a problem. And we have to liaise with MPA. Unfortunately, we have under the same ministry. That's how we're able to get most of those things like the station building item required.
What is also very unsettling for him is the exorbitant loading charges by operators placed on those who opt for rail services. This, he says, may derail the efforts of the federal government and contribution made by the corporation to decongest APAPA.
Before the COVID, we had a serious issue which we have to go to Abuja to resolve. That customs said they can no longer load the rail. So we have to ask them why. We are expected to carry clear goods already. So if you want, I told them which one is quicker for custom to follow a system that carry 20 containers at a time, or for to follow a trailer that is taking one at a time. It makes more sense if you deploy to custom to follow a container to the warehouse. If there's anything you want to check there, you check there. I think it could have been the other way around. I think eventually it will resolve, but that same week, the lockdown came in. So what I will say is that I have to appeal to the terminal operators within the port, because the charges they pay and the so-called rate charges, because owner of containers want to move his loads or container by rail, is higher, prohibitive. I don't know why they should charge their normal handling charges, which they charge to the trailers, but when it comes to rail, don't be surprised they charge over 60,000 per container to lay the container on the rail, which try and destabilize the system, discourage people from using the rail. We've raised this issue, and it's still a front burner that we are trying to resolve with the terminal charges. The rail is Nigerian Railway Corporation, which eventually, that is government. In the port, we have what we call marshalling yard, about 221 lines for marshalling and shunting. But when concessioning came, I don't know how they did it. That yard was concession out, and we have to fight as rail to even have 3 lines remaining there.
Barge operations are also becoming quite visible. Some of them get loaded at Mile 2, conveying trucks and containers down to several terminals sprawling the port area and beyond. Within a short period of time, they arrive at their destination, saving users a great deal of energy usually expended in traffic by truck drivers. Though they are playing their part to better trade facilitation in APAPA, according to EDEME KELIKUME, they too have challenges to contend with.
Right now, daily, the average barge takes about 12 to 18 40-foot containers, or industry language, about 24 TEUs. And if you say each terminal is currently processing about, let's say, 20 barges daily. 20 barges, that's about, by 24, that's about 480 TEUs daily for each terminal. And you have about 4 active terminals. So that's roughly about 2,000 TEUs on a daily basis of containers alone. Okay, and that could be two-way, which is empty containers coming in and import containers going out. So that's about roughly 4,000 to 5,000 TEUs every day for barge movement by the terminal. So if you take this away from the industry right now, I mean, that begs the question of what would have happened. How would the trucks have been able to go in every day? So 5,000 TEUs, we're talking about an equivalent of about 2,500 trucks coming into the various ports every day. With the current situation that we have, it would have been a serious nightmare. One of the biggest challenges we are faced with is the area of getting windows. We call them windows for you to move your barges to the ports. Now, there have been a few big players coming into this industry, and what we see happening is that the industry is gradually getting polarized towards the major players in the industry. We have right now about 6, 7 major barge operators, and the smaller barge operators naturally are finding it very difficult to get access to the port. Even for the big operators, you know, access to the port comes at a premium.
The lockdown threw up quite a number of interesting topics, which if carefully analyzed would provide us with pointers on the way forward for port operations.
As the congestion is building up, trade is impeded, you understand, and then the port is, you know, again, the inventory as they build up, it will obstruct cargo movements, and then ship waiting time, and it's sending a very bad signal to the, you know, outside world.
He also says automating port operations and capacity building of the key players in the sector will create some level of impact.
You know, our ports before now is supposed to be fully automated, but the automated system was not in place. We needed a situation whereby there is, you know, scanners to scan cargo to enable, you know, reduction or, you know, time taken for this cargo to be cleared out of the port, but that wasn't there. Another ports of the world that are still operating is for the fact that they are already online. They're already fully automated. So you can stay anywhere and do your business. But here it is not so. So it's a relief now from what we have, you know, discovered. It's not just getting the port fully automated. It has to start from, you know, kind of looking at the players, the role of every player in the logistics chain, especially the freight forwarders.
The economic impact of the congestion is huge. While infrastructure is getting depleted and real estate experiencing huge devaluation, the Seaport Terminal Operators Association of Nigeria (STOAN) put the nation's economic losses at 20 billion naira daily prior to the COVID-19 era. The Nigerian Port Authority, the Nigerian Shippers Council, terminal operators, railway corporation, barges operators, truckers, freight forwarders and all other players in the sector must be resolute about putting an end to this lingering crisis and the impact. Strengthening alternative means of transporting cargoes in order to free up spaces for newer consignments is definitely a way to go. While we embrace the new normal brought about by the corona pandemic, we must also embrace changes that would help free up the port system.